I'm Clint, and welcome to Vibrance, Episode 5. We're talking about framing your future, dealing with thoughts and attitudes that direct the trajectory of your life. So if you're watching this in recording, take a look at the description below. There'll be a timestamp down there. That'll jump you right to the main content. Otherwise, if you're joining in live, then we will leave a couple of minutes for everybody to get in and get settled. Then we'll kick off with the main content. Alright, let me just double check that everything looks green on my side. Audio and visuals look okay. And Federico is the first one in. Welcome, how's it going, man? Looks like everything is good here. You're at least the first one that typed something. We'll say it that way. You're the first one to type. Jay Welch, welcome. How's it going, everybody? Alright, I think I'm going to just leave it like that. Yeah. So, if you are new to the Vibrance channel, maybe you're watching this in recording, here's a quick FAQ. We're all about the habits, health, and attitudes that will improve our lives and pursuits, as stated here. I am Clint Cearley. I'm an illustrator and art educator by trade, but I have long been a fan and been involved in self-growth. So, my past, as you see in my first episode, was me overcoming depression and low energy, fatigue, and those related issues. And doing more now. I have a lot more energy, a lot better life outlook, and doing better work as far as like my own artwork. And looking back at what got me there and what can we do to push ourselves further. If you want to join in with the group, there was an entire group out there. We're on Facebook group. You can just go to vibrance.group. That will link you right to the Facebook group. You do need to ask to join. I just okay everybody who asks. So you're welcome to join in there. And no, you do not have to be an artist, as it says here. Cassandra, welcome. Special K, how's it going? Doing good here. Man, am I the only one that's really looking forward to spring? I'm already tired of winter. I'm ready to see some green on the trees and not have to wear my big coat and run the space heater all the time. But we are still slogging through the winter. Okay. So how many do we have in here right now? 17. Okay, good. This is a really good topic. This is something that I've been thinking about quite a bit recently. And it's one that really starts playing with a mental game. I'll get into it a little bit. If anybody has any quick questions they want me to address, or something I've forgotten to cover, you're welcome to toss that out there, and I'll touch on it here. Otherwise, we'll jump right into the main content. Kina, welcome. Veronica, good to see you. Special K. We went 3 years without snow. It's been snowed 5 times in the past month. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, hey everybody, how's it going? I think that this stream, I'll probably do about an hour on this stream. It won't take me that long to go through the main content, but I want to leave time for question and answers. And if you are new, then yes, we do question and answers at the end of the main message. We can either cover that or whatever related topics you want to go on about. And there will always be a weekly challenge going along with the topic. Sometimes it's loosely based and sometimes it's not. And we generally do something that's more habit or attitude along with something that's a little more health oriented. Because bad health will affect everything else. So we want to make sure that we get our health straight. And that's really going to give you the right direction to take care of the rest of it. Yeah, I love winter, but when is summer season? I love summer when it is winter. Yeah, Federico, I am totally a summer guy. I love summer. Maybe it's because I'm a thin fellow, so I don't have much padding when it comes to winter. And I get cold, it's so hard to get warm. But yet when it's in summer, it's hard for me to overheat as much as some people. So maybe that's it. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like everybody that's probably going to be joining in has pretty much joined in. And most people watch this in recording anyway because they live on the other side of the world. Alright, let's see. I'm going to leave that layer on. Extra weight in hot environments is, yeah, not ideal. It doesn't work. So, alright. Let's kick off to the main content. If you are new, then just know that you are feel free to put your questions and comments in the chat. However, I am going to be speaking through all of this first, and then I will look back at your questions and comments afterwards. Also, if you do want something directly to me, then put @swatches at the beginning of your comment in the live chat, and that will flag it for me, and I will see that a lot easier. Otherwise, I will assume that you're talking to yourselves. That also is awesome. You feel free to carry on your own conversations. However, the topic this week is framing your future. And one of the things that I learned, I've mentioned him before many times, Brendan Bouchard. Go watch all of his stuff, read his books, listen to his audio stuff. But there's something he said really stuck with me a while back, and that was on the question of what if. We always ask ourselves this, whether we're starting a new piece of artwork, or whether we're thinking about, buying a house, or engaging in a new relationship, or moving, whatever the opportunity or option is, we start with, what if? Now, where you go from that is very crucial. So, what if, and let's say we're talking about a business opportunity. Well, what if I do it and nobody buys it? What if I do it and nobody likes it? Or what if I draw this new image and somebody says something mean about it? Or what if I record this video and nobody watches it? See, all of those is what if, and you've qualified it. You've put parameters on it, and that's a negative parameter. All of those are negative parameters. You've just set your frame. And that's what I'm talking about, framing your future. You just set the frame, and the frame is in the context of negativity. So what if you do the opposite? What if instead you say, what if I start this picture and it's the best picture I've ever done? What if this is the most awesome picture and it gets noticed by somebody important and it gets put on the cover of a magazine or a book? What if this business opportunity sets the direction for my life and makes me the money that I need to get that new house or the new car or whatever? What if this relationship that I'm starting is going to be the most rewarding, deepest, most satisfactory, and meaningful relationship I ever have? There you just set your frame around it, and the frame is positivity and success and growth. And those are hugely different. I don't know why it is, but I would say most people default to negativity. You say, what if, and you follow it by the negative. Now, I had that exact issue just a while back, a couple of weeks ago, when I started the Vibrance streams. I knew it was something I was interested in. I knew that it could honestly help people. But I didn't know how it would be received. And I know one of the first thoughts was, what if I do this and 3 people join the stream? And 50 people watch the whole video? That would be kind of disappointing. What if nobody cares? What if they kind of laugh me off and say, you're just an artist, what are you doing talking about this stuff? But then I had to immediately kick that out and say, no, you know what? What if I do this and 100 people join the stream? What if I do this and 100,000 people end up watching these videos and get positive influence into their lives, and they start getting control of their lives, and they start building their dreams, and they start having the habits that's going to help them win and have more meaning in their lives? What if these videos is what helps create the next amazing artist, the next superstar in the field? That is the sort of questions that I want to ask myself, because it automatically puts the right frame around it that puts it in league for success. All right, next one. Another question that I ask myself when I have that chance or that opportunity is, what would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? I don't remember where I came across this one originally. I read it somewhere, and it just cemented itself in my mind. And there's been a handful of these over my lifetime, different phrases and sayings that have challenged my perspective on the way that I see and think about things. And this is one of the things that has done that. What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? I have that printed on a piece of paper, on a sheet, right there, and I have it behind my computer in big letters. And it's one that I ask myself very often. See, that cuts through the motivations. It cuts through all the mental games and says, all right, what are you motivated out of? Are you not attempting something because you're afraid simply that you're going to fail at it? No, attempting something because you don't have the skills to do it, that's sort of one thing. I'm not going to attempt to rebuild my car engine. I don't have the skills. I don't know the know-how to even begin to try that. I'm not going to attempt brain surgery. I have no clue how to do that. All right? So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? If I come into Vibrance with the attitude of confidence, there's a far better chance that it's going to succeed than if I come into it believing that nobody's going to watch it and nobody gives a crap. And that's what I'm trying to make here. You cut through all the stuff and say, are you not doing it because you literally do not have the means to do so? Are you not doing it just because you're afraid that you might fail? And guys, the fear of failure is a real thing. And it's something that everybody, no matter how good they are, deals with on a daily basis. And just remember that the fear of failure has doomed more potential superstars and world changers than actual failure ever has. Actual failure has maybe shot down this many. The fear of failure has shot down this many. Don't not do something just because you're afraid to fail. So ask yourself that question. And if that's the reason, then that's not a good enough reason. You cut through the motivations. What are you motivated by? Now, love or fear. Love or fear. This is something I picked up from the comedic actor Jim Carrey. All right, there was a video that he did, and he gave a speech. And he was doing a commencement speech at a college. And the core of one of the points he was making was you're either motivated out of love or fear. And it pretty much goes for everything in life. And of course he says you need to be motivated out of love. You're motivated out of love or fear. Let's take work. All right? It doesn't really matter what work you do. Let's take my work. Several of us are artists. I'll take my work. I draw stuff. I make videos. All right. So I can do that, and I can be doing that out of fear. The fear of what? Being homeless, right? If I don't make some money and pay bills and buy food, I'm going to end up on the street, right? So I can work because I'm just afraid to be homeless. I'm afraid of that outcome if I don't. On the other hand, you can do the exact same work because you love it. If you love drawing, if you love painting, if you love talking about art, if you love helping people and educating, then that's an awesome reason to do that thing. And you should do it. It's doing the exact same thing for two completely different reasons. And that is what we're talking about here. What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? What if? And love or fear, what are you motivated by? Same thing with relationships, right? It applies to them the same. Are you in the relationship that you're in because you're just afraid of being alone? Because that's a real question, all right? If you're just with a person because you're afraid to not be with a person, I'm going to challenge you that you really need to do some serious thought about what relationship you're in. On the other hand, are you in that relationship because you just love that other person and you're committed to loving that other person despite anything? And you just love who they are and you love their spirit and then you love their humor and you love spending time with them and you just love them. then that would be a great reason to stay in that relationship. So don't be motivated out of fear. Be motivated out of love. Next, coming from a position or confidence. Okay, I didn't type that quite right now that I'm reading it back. Anyway, so what would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? If you knew you could not fail, and this falls right down to this one, so you would come into it with what? An air of confidence. You would, well, if I know I'm not going to fail, then I'm going to be a lot more at ease. I'm going to enjoy myself more through the process of doing whatever it is. And I'm going to have more confidence in myself and the entire process. So that's cool, all right? And it reminds me of Felix Felicis. Now, any of my Potter friends out here would know what that is. If you're unfamiliar, then in the Harry Potter series of books and movies, there is this particular special potion called Felix Felicis, and it is liquid luck. And if you drink it, you'll find that for the next several hours, everything that you attempt will just turn out well for you. And it gives you this air of confidence. And Daniel Radcliffe did an excellent job of portraying it in the films. And it's described well in the books as well. That he takes it and he just becomes completely ease at himself. And he has a lot of self-confidence. And life is good. And everything just turns out good for him. And it's a bit like that. And see, and later on, he tricks his friend Ron into thinking he gives him some of the Felix Felicis. And he does all of his, the right moves and saves the Quidditch game because he thought he was lucky, but he wasn't lucky. He just, it's placebo effect, right? But it works, though. If you approach things from a position of success, of confidence, and having that as your framework, you're far more likely to actually succeed. And that's the way the brain also works. So the brain generates thoughts based on our parameters. So we put the parameter on it. What is the parameter? Negativity or positivity? Failure or success? And then it will generate ideas and thoughts depending on what group we go to. And it's not going to come up with the same group of thoughts. Now, we get to entertain whichever thoughts that we want, but the brain is basically going to generate those. So, which ones do you want? Because you can't say, well, you know what, it just wouldn't have worked anyway. I'll tell you what, if you came in with a mindset of confidence, with a spirit of confidence, with a mindset of we are going to succeed at this, then your brain is going to come up with completely different ideas and strategies in order to make that happen. Your brain doesn't care, honestly. Your brain is just going to be churning out thoughts and whatever you ask it to do. So make sure you're asking it the right thing. And that's the same thing in art. If you approach an image and you think, I'm just going to fail at this. Nobody's going to like it. This is crap. I don't know what I'm doing. Then it's going to keep pulling smaller. Your creativity is going to get lower and smaller and weaker. Because what? It doesn't want to risk. It's afraid of loss. It's so afraid of making you feel loss that it's going to restrict all of your creative ideas until you're only going to be choosing the most basic, simplest, easiest things possible to do. Whereas if you come in from the other side, then it's going to be like, oh, well, why don't we try this? And why don't we try that? Let's add more color and let's add more characters. And it's going to make it bigger and more vibrant. All right. We already kind of talked about the dating the business. So we'll move on to the next part. Last couple of thoughts. As a man thinketh, so is he. That was from Proverbs 23:7. Now, that is ancient wisdom. As a man thinketh, so is he. Now, it doesn't matter what you think about the Bible itself, but that's true. That's always been true. Every culture knows that's true. See, who you are starts with who you are in here. Because your thoughts generate your actions. Your actions are just an outreach of your thoughts. And your actions, in repetition, create your habits. And your habits are what defines who you are. Your thoughts create your actions create your habits define who you are as a person. So if you don't like who you are, you don't like the direction your life is going, then we've got to work that backwards. That's one of the major things we talk about here, right? Creating better habits. How do you do that? By changing your actions, individual actions on a daily and weekly basis to create better, more positive direction. Those have to come from better individual actions that come from a better set of thoughts. That's how it works. The last quote is, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. That was by Henry Ford, who started Ford Motor Companies, one of the biggest automotive dealers in the world. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So if you go into it thinking that you can do a thing, then you're going to find a way to make that happen. You're going to believe in that outcome. And you are far more likely to find that that is the outcome that's actually going to happen. But if you go in thinking that you can't, then by golly, you're going to find a way to make sure that happens as well. So the first place that you need to have confidence is in yourself. And you don't need to be confident about your ability to do everything that you set out to do. You don't need confidence in the fact that you know everything that you need to know. Have confidence instead in your ability to adapt, and your ability to learn, and your ability to grow. I have a lot of self-confidence. Not because I know everything, not because I've got everything down, but I know that I will be able to adapt. And I know that I can learn, and I do learn, and I will keep going at whatever my goal is until I make it. And maybe it takes me a week or a month or 5 years or 10 years. I will eventually hit my goal. I will grind it away day after day and learn what I need and acquire what I need and adapt myself until I get there. That is where some major confidence comes in. And that sort of direction is just such a better indicator for eventual success in whatever you want. That is the outline, guys. So going forwards, what's the 2 things that you can take away? If you can just take away 2 things, take away those 2 questions. Learn to ask better questions, because they're going to generate better thoughts that eventually generate a better you. What if? And then make it a positive. And then what would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? And then use that as a checklist, a little mirror, just to check yourself against, to make sure you're on the right track. All right, thanks for joining on that. Now we just need to wrap up with our challenge and Q&A. So, what are we doing this week? Frame your thoughts from the positive and from a place of confidence. That's sort of arbitrary. I don't know what's really going on. So, 30 minutes daily reading for self-growth. All right, this is something very quantifiable. 30 minutes daily. We're not talking about watching videos. We're talking about actual old books, paper. Read for 30 minutes every day. Something to do with self-growth or confidence. And self-growth or development. Maybe it is learning how to have better habits. Maybe it's about emotional intelligence. Maybe it's about your art field and learning to be a better business person. Whatever it is, you decide, but that is the challenge. Okay, chat, it is open up to you guys. I'm going to take a swig of water, and I'm going to turn this heater down a little bit. Her Majesty says, some cultures and families have a fixed mindset. Whatever you're born with is what you have, it said. Yes, I completely agree. And I was listening to some speaking along that lines of basically saying you've got to pay attention to what your strengths and weaknesses are, and you play up your strengths and you play down your weaknesses, and that's basically what you build your future around. And that's not great advice. Because I tell you what, none of us are born with enough strengths over enough of the topics that we need in order to solidify a solid future. Alright? I was not born a great educator. I'm not even saying I'm a great educator now, but I'm trying to go that direction. I was not born good at speaking in public. I'm not great now, but I'm definitely better than where I used to be. I was certainly not born a good businessman. Not great, but I'm doing better. So you have to definitely use your strengths where possible, but you also have to learn new strengths. And that is something that you be willing to reinvent yourself. And maybe you can't change your core personality, but you can change a lot, and a lot of times it's necessary. Alright, good news. I've been able to organize myself with time and task. I left the sugar, and I am taking the 6 glasses of water a day. Awesome! Yeah, that was the challenge for last week. Drink 6 glasses of water every day. And I will tell you guys, I made 7 out of 6. Alright, Sunday, I looked back, I was like, Sunday, I didn't do it. Because I was over at a friend's house for a while, and then I had to drive to Nashville and back. And the day got busy, and I forgot. I think I got up to 4 glasses on Sunday. But I hit every other day. So, yeah. I don't remember if it was a Vibrance group or a different group, but there was a mention of a book club. Were we thinking about doing that? Yes, actually. I'm putting together a list. I was jotting it down before the video, actually. And it is going to be a short list of like 6 things every month. And you can use this as kind of a point thing. I did talk about making points, and you could like win things with points. I don't know if we'll win things or it'll just be a personal thing. But I'm going to put together this list, and it will be a goal that you can set in different avenues every single month, and you want to check off 1 point for each one. What I have outlined right now is read 1 book a month for self-growth. Whatever the topic is, you set it. And talking about the book club is, I would put together a recommended list. Like, if you don't know where to start, I will have a list of books that I do recommend. And then you're welcome to go through those, or you could choose something yourself, of course. Then also have the workout list at least 3 times a week for 20 minutes. Add a new portfolio image every week. I would also put one limiting sugar and alcohol. So it'd be a maximum of 1 soft drink, soda, and 1 alcoholic drink a week. That would be your maximum. Then every week we want to reevaluate our goals. I had to do that last week, and it's something I get a lot of I get a lot out of, is taking the weekly evaluation to check to see where I'm going on different things and if I need to adjust things. So, it's important to have confidence in yourself, but a realistic understanding of your abilities in the world. Yeah, do have a realistic understanding of your abilities, but also grow to have a confidence in your ability to adapt and to grow. And no, you never have enough confidence in, everything that it's just based in your skills, because nobody's skilled enough for that. What would you do if doing studies is boring to you, but whenever you want to draw something from imagination, nothing decent comes out of the mind? Okay, let's see. What would you do if doing studies is boring to you, but whenever you draw something from imagination, nothing decent comes out of mind? I would suggest have tried mixing the two. So do a study, and then adjust it. So like maybe you do your pose, your figure study, and then turn it into a monster. Or give him wings, or draw knight armor over it. So start with a study and learn what you need from that, but then do something creative and turn it into something else. Now I reckon if you do that several times, you'll end up on something that has a really good foundation from the study side, and then it has a really good spark of imagination from the creative side, and you could probably adapt that into its own full-fledged image. Nika says, I've lost weight this month. Unfortunately, I didn't learn much about art. Well, lost weight, congratulations. That's awesome. Making an effort, seeing some results, that can be a lot of motivation. It's well done. Good for you. Jay Welch says, add letters to young artist quote to that reading list. It was unbelievably helpful in my decision to pursue art. Add letters to a young artist quote. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there. Letters to a young artist quote to that reading list. Okay, clarify that for me, Jay Welch. How do you deal with neck ache when drawing? Sorry, I know this is off topic, but currently drawing and having this issue. No, you're fine. This is pretty open, the Q&A time, so no problem there. I've found that you really need to change the angle. All right, if your head is down, you're going to get neck ache. So if you're drawing on the computer, then what you want to make sure is that the computer is high enough. Your head isn't tilted down to look at the screen. It's looking straight on. Okay, and that might mean you need to put some books under your monitor and bring it up to eye level. You want it at eye level with you so you're not going to get neck ache. Another thing you can do is if you're drawing in paper, on pencil, then you need a proper drawing table, or at least sit somewhere that mimics that, where it tilts up to you. So you either have to bend yourself towards the paper, or you can bend the paper to you. Either way, it keeps you straight, and that's what you want. Another thing is, this is something that happened to me and another fellow in the group as well. The table was slightly too high for the chair, all right? And that makes your shoulders set up. And it's not really a neck problem, it's a trap problem, a trapezius. And if your shoulders set up even like half an inch for several hours, during the day, then it can really start getting the back of your neck. I remember just being like, oh my gosh, why does my neck hurt so bad? All you need to do is put a pillow on your chair, raise your seat up so that your shoulders can set down properly in the sockets, and that should go away anyway. So a couple of thoughts there. That should take care of your problem, depending on how you're drawing. My thing is sort of jumping around here, so let me see if I can get that situated. Whoa, yeah, it's... Jay Wells says, Letters to a Young Artist is the name of the book. Oh, okay, thank you for the clarification on that. All right, awesome. I have not read that, so... yeah, we can put it on there. We can take some suggestions. Actually, I think that would be good, because I certainly have not read all the good stuff out there. Yeah. Swatches, is it true that some people draw for 10 to 12 hours a day? I feel like that's impossible for me, hence I always want to give up. Do some people do it? Yeah, and I've done it before. I mean, there's a limit how long you can do it. I can't do it all week long. Your brain starts running out of whatever it is. I forgot what the chemical or enzyme or whatever that needs to make decisions. Yeah, you can do it for a couple of days. Sure. I think that's probably overkill if you want to try to keep that up all day long. Every day, 5 or 6 days a week. But, yeah, it's possible if you're jamming. It's also somebody who has the time to do so. I mean, if you have a full-time job, then I don't know how you would do that. Yeah. The Shizne says, yeah, mine is a trap problem. Thanks, will do. Yeah, that should help you out a lot. And it's something you don't really notice I mean, it's not like uncomfortable when you just put your arms up on a desk that's slightly high. Or if you have one of the chairs that you can just use the little, handle thing underneath it and pump it up to make it higher, then that could resolve the problem as well. I was always the type of student that learns less but more frequently. Okay, I guess you're talking to somebody else. Nika says, ketogenic diet over here regulates hunger very well. Cool. Yeah, I'm switching over to doing a lot less carbs right now. And I've worked out in the past before, because I've done Spartan races, and I'm gearing up for my next Spartan trifecta this year. And I've never been real cut. Like, I've always been lean. But I've never had very much definition. And I was looking at it, talked to some other people, and they suggested, I think what you need to do is really cut down on carbs. Which is kind of hard for me, because I love my pastas and my breads. So I am trying that. So for the last month and a half, I've really been cutting down on the carb intake. And I think it's working, actually. So it's pretty awesome. I'm going to like high protein and real low sugar, real low carbs. But I have one cheat day. Sundays are my cheat day. I get to go to town and I can eat whatever I want guilt-free. So you got to toss those in there sometimes. Nika says, by the way, are you an illustrator or concept artist? I'm more illustrator than I am a concept artist. I have done concept art before, and I love concept art. I think it's fantastic. I just, by and large, get more illustration projects than I do concept art stuff. Now that I'm doing some stuff like on Twitch, and I'm getting to do some of my own artwork for like Patreon, etc., then I'm getting to do a bit more concept art for those, and I'm not doing quite so much full illustration. So. And they're related, but they are different avenues. So, yeah. All right. Anything else? I think I hit all the questions that were shot to me specifically. Right, anything that we need to go over? Let's see. Coming up, I should be here for next Wednesday. Don't know of any reason why I wouldn't be around, so we can plan on having another Vibrant stream next Wednesday. Of course, we have the Monday evening stream for the regular swatches. And we also are beginning the QBrush. Winner is going to get $25 from qbrush.co for any of their content out there. So you definitely want to join that art challenge. Dennis says, giving vegan a shot. It's been really easy for my wife and I. Awesome. Yeah, there are definitely some good things about eating vegan. And yeah, I don't buy the whole you have to have meat. I mean, I like meat, so I'm definitely going to eat it. I don't have any moral issue about, meat. But there are some people, their bodies honestly don't handle meat that well. And vegan is the right call for you. So, hey, if you can make it work and it's giving you positive results, good for you. Keep going. I struggle with this. When I draw, says Sophia, I think I probably butchered your name. Apologies. When I draw, I almost always think about the end result, and if it's not looking nice, I always hear my family's negative reactions on it in my head, and this really stops my flow. I'm sorry about that. Well, okay. A couple of thoughts. To start with, their opinion doesn't matter. Alright? Not everybody's opinion matters in your artwork. You know whose opinion matters? Yours. They don't know what the goal is. They don't know what it means to you. They are not the experts on this. They do not get to have a say in this. As artists, that's something that we have to learn. Now, it's not always something easy, but I am generally respectful of people's opinion, or I try to be. And I try to let people have a say. But do you know what? When it comes to my artwork, I'm the expert. I am the only one who decides whether it's right or wrong, unless it's commissioned, in which case it's the art director. But, you know, they can say what they want, but you know what you get to think? It doesn't matter what you think. Alright? I've got a couple of friends, a couple of family members, that if they say something about one of my art pieces, I'll be like, I'll consider that. But everybody else, I'll just like, thanks for letting me know. Thanks for sharing. You know what? I don't think about it anymore. And the other thing is, people's negativity, they can, I want to say they can scar us. They can scar us. All right? But they can certainly change our outlook on things. So that's probably not an easy thing to get over. But start putting in more positive. All right? Make sure you're offsetting it with something positive. Start reading some positive, empowering things. Start listening to people who have positive outlooks and empowering outlooks, and start pumping that into your head. Because I tell you what, your brain is malleable. Your thoughts are malleable. Right now, your synapses, you know, they connect things. And that's how we make habits, right? You start tying your shoe. You learn how to tie your shoe. The first time you do it, you have to put a lot of effort into it. Why? Because you've never done it before. You're making new synaptic pathways. But you do it more and more and more. And then by the time you're an adult, you know, or, you know, I mean, you still by the time you're a kid, you can tie your shoe when you're half asleep in the dark. You have those pathways. You've been down that pathway so many times that it's just rote, right? And it can happen that way too. You can have enough negativity coming in that starts building these pathways between different things. Right now, it's got a lot of pathways that connect negativity, their voices, and your art. And we need to start making other ones. We need to start overriding those with new ones. And you do that by making a habit of having positive stuff coming in. Hopefully, you know, listening to some of my stuff would help. There's a lot of other good, positive artists and art education and self-growth, and go to listen to some of the TED Talks. I mean, there's some awesome speakers on TED Talks about growing confidence and bettering yourself. So go listen to some of those guys. And I guarantee you, over time, you will find that old stuff drifting away. And it will start being replaced by some of these other people. And you will start hearing these other voices. You start hearing your voice and my voice in your head. That doesn't sound right at all, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay, computer. Nope, that's not what I'm clicking on. Oh, it keeps like trying to scroll my whole screen down instead of just the chat. There we go. Come on, computer. There we go. Federico says, it's hard to stop eating meat. I live in Argentina and we eat meat a lot. 4 or I guess 5 times per week. Now I eat more balanced and replacing meat with fresh meal of rice and vegetables. Good option. Yeah, always good to put more veggies in there. Or at least just you can make the meat the side dish, right? Well, I know in American culture, meat is almost always the main dish. Like, you have your meat, whatever your protein is, and then you have things to go along with it. But you could do it the other way, right? You could have a nice bowl of rice and veggies, and then you could have some meat in it. Now, I particularly like stir fry, right? You can get some Asian stir fry. So, yeah, give me some rice, some grilled veggies in there, give me some sauce, and just put a bit of peppered steak in it. Right? It's not about the steak, it's about the whole bowl. So, yeah, that can be good. You can replace meat protein-wise by making rice and beans. It's 40-60 ratio. By doing so, you get a complete amino acids. Yeah, you can get a lot of protein from beans. Yeah, rice is a great complement. Yeah, rice goes with, like, everything. Yeah, rice is great. Eric Helms is also a good source of info regarding dieting on YouTube. Okay, yeah, I haven't looked at him. Bread Schoenfeld. Oh, Kitty just jumped on the desk. Sorry about that, guys. Kina says, I gotta head out. Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Kina. Thanks for stopping in. I hope you enjoyed the stream. The Shizne says, do you do critiques on pieces within these Q&As, or is there time of availability that I could show you some work and possibly get some quick feedback? Yes and no. I don't do art critiques during the Vibrant streams. There's a possibility of getting it reviewed in the Swatches streams. Now, I'm going to just assume for a moment that you have not seen the Swatches stream. So, Monday evenings at about 5 to 7 p.m. that I will have a live stream, and we also have weekly challenges. The best chance to get something reviewed is to do an image for the challenge, and I try to give quick feedback to everybody that submits in an entry. It's becoming more difficult because of the number of entries I'm receiving, but if possible, I can do that. The other option is you become a patron at patreon.com/swatches, pledge at the $40 level, and I will record a video feedback for whatever piece that you do. I sent out 2 of them today to 2 different patrons. They both said that they really loved getting the feedback. It's personal, just to you, and it is all about your piece and ideas of where to go. Just a second. She couldn't open the door. I had to get it. Kitty. Alright. Swatches from Gelly says, as an illustrator, how can you find what will make you different from other illustrators and will make a client want to work with you? Alright, that's a good question, Gelly. As an illustrator, how can you find what will make you different from other illustrators and will make a client want to work with you? Alright, first thing that comes to mind is specialities. Alright, everybody likes drawing some things more than other things. And then it's also your background. So, your normal skill set that you come into the field with is going to determine some of those things, if not most of those things for you already. So I came into the field with a background in portraiture and some traditional art. And what do I get? I get to do a lot of characters. So my portfolio was full of mainly characters and a couple of landscapes and a couple of other things. But that's what they saw as my strength, so that's what I got picked up on. And that's fine. Everybody can favor some things over other things. You're not going to hire me to draw some things. Like, I'm not going to do a lot of creature art. I'm not the guy that you turn to design your fantasy tank and work it all out like real schematic wise for your 3D modeler. That's not me, right? I'm far more of a character person than I am a hard surface in vehicular design guy. So that is how you can separate yourself. And generally just, yeah, your skill set and your style will naturally make you stand out a little bit. Because there's no way anyone is going to have the exact same look as you do. And nobody's going to have the exact same education you do, like the same shapes that you do, like the same color that you do, have the same sense of edging and brush strokes that you do. So you will fit some things and not fit others. Beyond that, you have how do you get a client to want to work with you, and how do you stand out? That would be more about kind of like marketing. So on one hand, you want to be good to work with by doing quality, consistent work on time. And you want to be somebody that's easy to communicate with, somebody that's a good communicator. So those will all be good points on that. Right. Nika says, is it true that Kim Jong-ji, hopefully I said that right, got hit in the head by a baseball bat and since then he started drawing like mad? I've heard this story recently. I rather doubt that. Storia Novas says, I know he was drawing all the time. No, there are stories. I know what that probably starts from. There are stories where somebody has had a traumatic brain injury and they came away having a skill set that they never had before. And there are documented cases about that. And I watched a really fascinating video on it. I don't even remember where I watched it. I can't remember if it was on Netflix or YouTube. But it's a really interesting one about that. And there was somebody that never knew how to play the piano, but they were in a car wreck and had severe brain injury. And they got out of it, and they were able to just play music by ear. They could hear something, and then they could play it, and they never could do that before. There was also somebody else that they had a brain injury. They started having more like photographic memory, and they never had that before. But it also, there's always some sort of side effect. And like they had a hard time with memory, but then they gained this. Really interesting stuff about the way that the brain tries to rewire itself after an injury. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, or sometimes it just brings about completely odd results. Yeah. Dennis asks, can you recommend a path that has a structured learning to improve yourself as an artist? I'm too old to look at the industry. My goal is to sell prints and note cards for extra income. Okay, that's cool. Can you recommend a path that has a structured learning? All right, well, I don't know what your medium is, but if you're wanting to do this over time, then you could go check out, I've recommended it before, I'll recommend it again. My computer's going slow. It's going so slow, I can't tell if it's picking up what I'm typing or not. Alright, so go check out Noah Bradley. He wrote an article a while back on why he doesn't recommend art college. And in it, he lists out what he would suggest as a $10,000 art education that would give you a better art education than colleges would. And if you're self-motivated, it could work really well. So maybe you don't want to spend that much even, but he does have some nice courses listed out. And I would recommend that. It does bring up a good point that I should put together an artist course. I also know that, what's his name? From QBrush.co. I know that the guy from QBrush released a new... I think I typed that right. It's going too slow for me to be able to tell. A new thing called Art School, and I think he has Art School too. But I've not used it. I don't know it in depth. I've just heard some really good things about it. So that might be something you look at as well. Yeah. Come on, computer. Nika says, are 3D modelers more in demand compared to concept artists and illustrators? I'm not really in the 3D modeling field. I wouldn't be confident knowing what the answer to that question would be. I know that there is certainly need for 3D modelers, and I know that there is need for good illustrators and concept artists. There is certainly a need for somebody that can do all of them. So, okay, kind of going back to the earlier question, what can you do to make a client want to pick you up? Being really versatile and being really good in all of them, that's a better bet than having to hire two people to do one job. So if he can if he can hire one guy to do the concept art and illustration and do some of the 3D modeling, that's better than them trying to have pick up a 3D modeler and an illustrator and a concept artist. Makes it more desirable. Swatches asks Her Majesty, how many finished pieces of a consistent style should you have before looking for freelance illustration work? The style isn't as important as just consistent high polish for your pieces, and I would say to look for about 10 or 12 to really show that you can do this consistently and you don't just occasionally get lucky. Styles can also be fine. You can have 2 or 3 styles, and that could be another way that you could be versatile and desirable by a company. So if you have a highly realistic, detailed style, that certainly appeals to some clients. You could also have some styles that are more cartoonish, slightly more cartoonish, something along the Blizzard Warcraft direction, where things are kind of exaggerated, brighter colors, you know, a little more cartoony. Or maybe you go all the way to the other side and you have, you know, like a fully cartoon sort of 2D drawings. And it can be fun to mess with those. I've seen some really good artists out on artstation.com, just browsing around there. And some of these guys have this huge versatility that they look top grade in that style. And they're also top grade in this completely different style. And you never would have thought that they were the same artist, but I could see how it makes them want to be picked up by a client because they could do everything. Nika says, by the way, great channel, great content, sub today. Hey, Nika, thanks for subbing. I appreciate the kind words about the channel. Yeah, Dennis talking about that. Yeah, Mark Burnett is the fella over from QBrush, and he is the one who made the art school. I do like his other videos. I've picked up about a half dozen of his other videos, and I've watched those, and those were good. So I assume the art school is good as well. And he's got a bunch of positive feedback about it. Yeah. So, all right, guys, we're using up your hour here. I've got to finish up a couple of little drawings, and then I've got to hit to the gym tonight. But I appreciate everybody joining, and I will be posting the challenge out on the Facebook group. If you haven't joined, just go to vibrance.group. Go out there, join the group, and then make sure you call in. Make sure you say you're joining the challenge when I put the challenge post out there. 30 minutes a daily reading for self-growth. I am reading through Untitled Leadership by Dave Ramsey right now. It's my book of choice. You could pick that one up as well, or go find your own. And let's see, frame your thoughts from the positive and from confidence. What I'd like to do is have you guys do is, if you do join the challenge, and you say that, you say you joined the challenge, give me an update. Tell me how that affected you. Let me know, let the other people know how that affected some of your decisions during the week. Did it change the spirit of something? Did it change the trajectory that that project was going to go in? Did it give you better ideas that you wouldn't have had before? Anyway, thanks for joining, and I will catch you next week is the plan. Always make sure you follow me out on Facebook at the channel for confirmation of streaming times in case anything gets changed. But I'll see you next time.